I guess it was that other email address.
There you go. All right, here we go. Buttons. On that one.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is November 2nd, 2023. Bender, what you know, man?
Good morning. Well, my son suffered an injury last night in lacrosse practice. He has a tibial plateau fracture, which apparently less than 1% of kids break this. So of course, it's got to be my kid. So he is home today, and we got to go see the ortho this morning to find out if it's. I guess it can range from 6 to 8 to 12 weeks of rest, essentially, or it can mean surgery. We don't know yet. Yeah. So hopefully we'll find out this morning or whenever we can get in. We don't have an appointment yet, so hopefully they'll be able to get us in because, we're supposed to leave for a cruise on Saturday, and this changes the plan. We're still going to go, but we have to make some arrangements to get him where he needs to be and that sort of thing.
Well, I think they call that life.
Yeah. Indeed.
I think
we'll figure it out.
What that is referred to. Well, Bender, the stonks go up, apparently. They go up a lot when it sounds as if the Fed doesn't want to murder anybody anymore, that they're going to back off of that a little bit. You know what happens?
I don't know. You tell me.
The bear gets splat.
Oh, yeah.
Bear got splat. And there has been no let up overnight and into today. It has been this just continuous, magnificent, unadulterated grind higher. That has been pretty epic. The dollar on a straight line descent down.
Good.
The VIX getting worked over pretty good at the same time. And I think and then we get data this morning that lines up perfectly as far as continuing this run moving, which we popped and we moved. I think the only thing standing in the way is everybody daddy. Yeah. And that's Apple. I think it's the only thing really standing in the way at this point. So how do we manage that? How do we balance that? I think it's going to be a really, really interesting kind of day to see what they want to do. It's like we're already up like really, really nicely. But one thing that's for certain, and I've been kind of watching futures here and there all morning, even areas that look like it's going to pull back, uh, you can tell people are trying to like go ahead and sell into it and kind of short it a little bit, whatever it may be. They're getting absolutely wrecked. This is one of those from overnight into today. This has been one of those trends that red candle buy, red candle buy, red candle buy, half of a red candle buy. Just like when we were going down, green candle, sell, 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 to sell, to sell, sell, sell. Same thing, same difference. 100%. So here we are. And now what do? Now what's going to happen? Now what's next? It's the apple. Everybody can just stare down that apple and try to figure it out from there. We know that there's an area up on Apple, 177.50-ish, somewhere in there, that is sticky. If we get that blast off into that level, might be something to take a look at. We're close enough to 15,000 on the NQ to where that could be another little target. A lot of different targets to the upside. A lot. And a lot of stocks that are beat down and are looking to squeeze individually along with the entire market. I think it's going to be an interesting day. I don't know if they're going to give us a red candle. It doesn't look like it's possible at this point to try to get in. It really, really doesn't. So you just kind of got to roll with the punches here a little bit, and try to find an entry that makes sense for you one way or the other. Or if you're bear and wanting to double down, again, make sure you have a good entry, because these candles can be the most vicious of vicious. So that's really all I have. You know, it's like the data was good. Bank of England held rates. Everything is kind of lining up to where we can really, really get a move back up. I think Apple is the big old fat, gnarly elephant in the room right now. That's kind of going to dictate that out a little bit. So I guess we'll see when we get there this evening. Between now and then, I'm sure you're going to go through these levels and be like, yeah, no, there's levels here, here, and here. If you're looking at the daily, on the Qs, we're up into all of these EMAs that you know could act as resistance, but we're up and into it pretty good. So I think you just kind of got to let flow walk and talk a little bit and tell you what's going on. See how much capitulation we actually get as far as bear being like, you know what, this game is over for now. Maybe there's a level up above that makes more sense. So with this being said, sir, would you care to walk us through?
Yeah, let's do it. Get this chart going here. Let's do like that. There we go. Okay, let's start with the daily. A couple things I want to point out here. All right, so you can see this this volume imbalance right in here in the daily. That goes up to 43.03. For that to be filled, we need to lay a candle, a daily candle over that, which would entail a close above 43.03 half for us to kind of fill that volume imbalance in. A wick into it and then pull back doesn't suffice, doesn't fill it. So if we don't get that today, you know, maybe it's tomorrow, we'll see. But something to keep an eye on is the top of that daily volume imbalance. And then you can see the top of this fair value gap on the daily up at 43.30.25. So that's what, 34 up from here will be an area to watch. And you can see everything that yesterday's candle kind of left behind as an area. You know, if it decides to this volume imbalance in, maybe fills this fair value gap in, and then we'll kind of have to see where it wants to go from there. Any sort of pullback today, if we start moving the other way, you'll see that I have this 50% level, 42.74 half, which is essentially, let's go to 60 minute here. And that was this high, 44.23 half, down to this low, 41.21.75. The midpoint of that is 42.74 half. I'm going to change the color of this just to make it, give it something that stands out a little bit. There we go. So on a pullback, you can see we broke over that 42.90, this candle's high. That was that little pop up, sell down. Now we've taken that out. So all the stops that were in here, we've taken those out. So, what they do with it going into the open, I think you said today could be very interesting. It could be. I want to see how they open. I want to see, now that we've taken that, I want to see the reaction. I want to hear some lines of flow and kind of see what they're thinking. If they're just, going to gap and go and push higher. But I would not be surprised if, it pulls up into here. You can see this 60-minute fair value gap over here. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes out these stops just over 43.05, maybe pushes up into this 43.12, the 15 area, and then we get some sort of pullback and retest. Wouldn't be surprised. Let's move into a 15-minute. And like Hells mentioned, they bought every chance there was a red candle. They bought it back up, right? You had this little pullback here. What was this? 42.81 to 74. So all of like a 6-handle pullback, and they bought it. So, coming into the morning, you really don't, like, if you look at the 5-minute, there's nothing in here. This is the area that you'd want to see, at least kind of starting off the day, about 10 handles lower, 12 handles lower. This is kind of the area in here where if we get a pullback on the open, this is kind of the area that we'd want to see hold. There's going to be a lot of stops sitting right around here, this 42.74. So if it pulls back into here, and I've got clocks that line up, I'll probably be taking a shot in here with a tight stop. And if it doesn't work, then I would be looking for this 42.74.25 and see what kind of reaction that provides if it's able to come down and take that. Because that's where they're gonna stop out people. This was 6 o'clock this morning. So maybe they pull down into this set of candles here, stop everybody out. You look for that market structure shift, kind of push it back the other way. On the flip side, and I think this is worth talking about a little bit, Hells, because there's days that we can be looking for upside targets, right? And there are days that provide quite a bit of range, even when it's pushing up, right? We've traded a lot of days where, we're looking for upside and we get some sort of upside move. And even though, we talk about the bigger picture, and yesterday we talked about the 60-minute candles and that the direction was up, right? There will be days that even when the direction is up, that you get some decent moves back the other way. And, I want to be, and this is something that I think we can all do better is, finding those opportunities like in here, right? And this is crappy candles to look at because it's 5 o'clock this morning, but looking for those times where we get, an opportunity to capitalize on those pullbacks and do it, both directions. So, a lot of times I'm trading more than one contract, and, you'll hear me talk about scaling in and out and, take a piece off here, add a piece back. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do is when we, even though, I may think the direction is higher, if we get, some sort of market structure shift going back the other way, like you got in here, this fair value gap, 5-minute fair value gap that was left open, traded into, right? Those are the areas where it's like you could make money being nimble and going, okay, well, I had 2 contracts. So as we approach these levels where there's possible resistance, where I can expect, maybe a shuffle, take some off or take it all off and then look, for an opportunity to re-enter, or even potentially when you get that shorter time frame like this, that 5-minute market structure shift, okay, maybe I should be shorting. And then look for an opportunity to flip back the other way and reverse. And after this low was taken, and then this high, right? Okay, now we're going back the other way. And it's just trying to do a better job of looking for that and being aware of that. So I think that's about all I got. Let's take one more quick look at the 15-minute. Yeah, so the top of this fair value gap on the daily and taking out these stops up here, I would be head on a swivel. And when it does cross that level, again, see what kind of reaction that you get. Do you get that big power candle through? Or do you get that a little poke above, pull back, leave a fair value gap behind, trade into that, indicating that, okay, maybe that was the objective for now, and we go back and fill some of this other stuff in. This would be a level that I would target on a move down, 42.70, 425, and you can see 61.5 being kind of a big area. I'm going to put this on the chart. I'm going to delete some of these other boxes, and I'll share this chart after I kind of get these notated, but I'm going to leave this up as an area that if we start getting some selling pressure and it really pushes or looks like, we get that market structure shift after taking out 4304 and maybe we get a headline or something and it really starts pushing, this would be an area I would look to play scoop. I think that's about all I got.
Isn't it like 1,000,000 points down, or am I seeing that wrong?
It's like 4293 to 4250. So it's like 40 points.
Would that push us red on the day? Like fill the gap, push us red, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So where'd we close? 42.55.25. So yeah, it would basically be 5 handles below yesterday's close.
Interesting.
I don't know that it comes down here. Just if if
So
nothing else, if we
it
get headlines
seems,
or something,
yeah, it seems
uh,
interesting because at that level, that's Apple achievable for sure if they disappoint.
yeah, sure. I
It's
would
like
just expect that there'll probably be a bounce in here. If the momentum is going to continue to the upside, uh, it wouldn't be shocking to me for it to come back into this 15-minute candle, that 4270 area. That'd be
hmm
probably a good area. As long as, flow hasn't like totally turned sour.
hmm yeah, yeah. No, I can see that. It's like the overall weakness in the dollar is crazy, and I can see another 30 to 50 cents down on the dollar being entirely possible in through here. But I think the one that to really watch is going to be, price action in and around Apple and Microsoft. And I will say that Amazon flow was bearish at the end of yesterday. So Microsoft very bullish. Apple, more questions than answers. But yeah, I like the idea. I like it. Cool. Got anything else?
No, I think that's about it for now.
Hi, Stonkington.
Hello, what's up? All right, I'm ready. It's party time. I guess we got no sun, so we can do some news. We got a lot of news. Let's talk about some news. Starbucks good ER. Marriott's moving on up. Moderna dropping 3.1 billion charge. COVID write-downs. Okay. What else? Eli Lilly falls after bad profit forecast. Let's see. Uber and Lyft, they had wage theft claims over in the Big Apple. DoorDash good ER. PayPal SEC subpoena. Let's see. Roku adds 20%, expecting to be profitable in the next quarter. That's the point, right? Go Roku, do that. Oil moving on up. Qualcomm good ER up 5%. And Airbnb not so good. Let's see what else. Tesla China EV sales fall 2.6% from September. And Boeing cyber incident, relatable, been there. What else? Bitcoin 17-month high. Delta going to lay some people off. And we didn't really have, that's kind of it on the news. We didn't really have a ton of upgrade downgrades. We got Affirm and Amazon's going to do a buy now, pay later. And Affirm is making power moves pre-market. So that's kind of what we got over on the news side. Let's see, am I sharing a screen? Or am I not? Let's see, there we go. All right, sharing a screen. Okay, so we just start out with SPY. We talked about the smash burgers, and Larry Williams is sitting pretty right now. He would have gotten in, let's see, at here, closed below the prior day's low by the high. And so Larry Williams would have caught, what's that, 12 points on the SPY potentially to the upside. So he would have been getting in down here. So we caught this run up to where we are now pre-market up here. So potentially the setup would be to the downside now for smash days, but this would have been a smash day to the downside. This would have been a smash day downside. So it's not breaking, but the setup is there, so we can have an alert, see if we broke this 418.50 to the downside. But we're making a nice strong move to the upside at the moment. We jump over to the NASDAQ, see what we got here. We can start on the daily. All right, so similar, we've got this volume imbalance, and we've got this daily fair value gap. We're trading up into it. This candle here, I threw fibs on. We kind of talked about this during market hours on the ES yesterday. So this is kind of like this ICT order block idea where we would think of this candle as a bear who wanted to get in cheaper, but obviously overnight session did not give a fuck about that bear who maybe wanted to get in cheaper, which would mean then we could be looking for this to be a sensitive area, specifically the midpoint, as what Mr. T would be calling a breaker. So I'll be watching if we pull back. I want to see what happens there at 14,797. If we can continue to the upside, this would be the top of the gap. So we don't have that far to go. That's only 50 points up, which is nothing. And then I've got, again, a possible order block in this candle. So I'm going to keep an eye out on the low of this candle's body, and similarly could throw like a 0.5 fib if we got going to the upside on this candle here, a bear who maybe wanted to get in cheaper, followed by a sell. And then we've got our levels to the downside midpoint of this candle. And if we really started pushing back down, now that we've had candles close above this daily fair value gap, I would want to see this area start to work as support, as a possible inversion gap. And now our big daily flag is potentially back in play over here on the NASDAQ. We jump over to the Russell. Let's see, I was looking at it last night and was thinking we may be starting to build out another bear flag here. We talked about how it was a ascending triangle based on these equal highs. So ended up breaking up to the upside. We've got this weekly gap above. So we potentially have upside target up through 1724.30. We had a good teamwork on some IWM calls. We got the flow, and then we got an entry at 50% off right before Powell, and then those popped. So that was nice work by Mr. Florida Man out there. And let's see. So if we're going to pull back on the Rusty, I'm going to be watching. This was relative equal highs. See if prior resistance becomes support, and then we've got this 4-hour gap that also kind of lines up with that level. So for upside, potentially we have room up into that 1724.30, and downside I would be looking for the reaction down here if we pull back to that 1683. But flow appears to be pretty bullish over there on the IWM Russell. We saw also bid side calls on the TZA, which is the 3x bear small cap. So bearish lines on that one are going to be good for bulls on IWM and the Russell. For individual tickers for today, I'm going to be keeping an eye on snow. So snow already popping here. This was a daily inside bar, so we're going to break the range. Any bear from yesterday will be red at the open. So what I would do in this situation is this would become the new put trigger, and then this would just get rid of that. This is just a fib now, so that if we push to the downside, that would just be a price target potentially. Upside, I'd be looking. This is a big dark pool for snow. Snow doesn't get a ton, so I'll be looking above at this 151.60 reaction, and now we're kind of in this falling setup. Snow is a good one too because it doesn't get a ton of flow, so little lines can be directional and helpful. So if we lost this call trigger down there, 146.05, this is the dark pool from last night, 3.74%, 144.26. The other one that I wanted to keep an eye on today was going to be Tesla. Tesla was coming up into this key level. Similarly, this would now become a put trigger. I had this 208.50 on the chart. It's come into play a few different times. We've slapped through it and bounced off it, and now we've broken. There's some kind of invisible line on my chart. So 208.50 would be where I'd be looking potentially to take Tesla short, and then above it looks like we probably have something up in here. Probably be looking for this. See what happens right in here. 216.50 for a continued move to the upside. Watch it to break and retest and continue to push. Other than that, I'll be kind of keeping an eye on dollar, gold, commodities, and what those such as and whatnots. Call those in the room, and I think that's all I got.
All right. Were you not able to click the button to share your own chart? I did it.
You had to do it, yeah. Let's try it one more time. I'm trying. So maybe there's something going on to experiment with later.
All right, cool. Hells?
I ain't got
Still with
anything
us?
else, man. It's
Okay.
like I know how the flow is pointing. But when you get a gap up like this off of a news event, we've seen
Yep.
retraces so many times, but I think the danger in it, in having any type of mentality like that, is you don't want to find yourself fighting the trend. You don't want to find yourself doing that. You don't want to try to top tick, whatever it is, as far as, being long either. So these are dangerous kind of days for a lot of people. And I know a lot of people struggle with trend days. I know I do. And so I think with that being said, it's like, make sure that if you have an entry, everything lines up. Go through your little checklist, and I'll share mine with you real quick before I want to get long or short. I want to see what the dollar is doing on the 1 in 5 minute. Now, granted, I scalp a lot, but dollar 1 in 5 minute. I want to look at, because I trade the NQ, I want to see the shape of SQQQ. I want to have an idea of what the flow is in and around that. I want to check my EMAs. I want to check my MACDs. I want to see if Apple is looking bullish or bearish. I want to look at level 2 to see whether or not these guys are sitting here, protecting the bid, or they're just, just slapping the ass left, right, and sideways. These are the things that can save you from a lot of pain when it comes to trend days and when it comes to gap ups or gap downs or whatever it may be. We had, what was it, like 8, 9 straight red days that were pretty exhaustive.
Yep.
We can easily flip that around and do the same thing to the upside.
Sure.
We can literally be back up SPY 450, by the end of next week if we fucking feel like it. Apple has a lot to do with it, but one of the things that people get trapped in is when there is and for the lack of a better term, a market structure shift or a shift in market narrative. If you find yourself on the wrong side of that, you dead, Fred. You dead.
Yep.
So if you've been running around, so what was it? Last week when Yellen came on, I basically said, this shit's over with. There ain't going to be any more raises. It's over with. Over. To the penny, basically on her little speech and her little commentary, we started rallying. I don't think we've stopped. So that was a shift in overall narrative. Powell came out and kind of did the same. If you're still looking for the terminal rate to get up and over 6, you on the wrong side of this motherfucker. If you're looking for the dollar to get to 110, you're on the wrong side of this motherfucker. Make sure you get your mind right as far as what you think should happen and what is actually happening. Make sure. And me saying this, I'm talking to myself also. Make sure. I've been on the wrong side of plenty of moves, just like we all have. But there's some things that we can do, and understanding that, hey, you know what? If the narrative in the market is shifting, we can have a ass-tearing run to the upside if data is in line to the end of the year. Santa Claus coming into town, and it is an election year.
Yep.
So let's really let's be wise about what we're doing. Let's go through the checklist before we enter trades to make sure we feel comfortable and good. Do not, on days like this, be neurotic. Don't. Just don't take a walk, do something. And if you have that bearish mindset locked and loaded, being like, we're going to zero, take a walk, a long walk, and ask yourself why. And then ask yourself the reasons when you're coming up with your whys. Does that fall in line with everything that's being discussed, talked about, the price action and the flow? Does that line up? Does it even line up with the phantom prints that are out there? SPY 436, IWM 171. Does that line up? Because a lot of you were like gung ho on it when they were to the downside. The bear was like, well, we got phantom prints down at 0. Yeah. Make sure you're fixing your head around the data properly, and it's not what you want or what you think. It's about playing and taking advantage of what's actually happening. Do not forget that. Don't forget that. Anyways, that's all I got. You guys have anything else?
Drop the commodities charts. These look bullish to me, both gold and crude in falling setups. We'll be calling those levels, and drop the dark pools and got phantoms in there. So that's all I got.
All right, boys and girls, let's have a really, really good day today. If you had a good day yesterday, chill. If you had a bad day yesterday, make sure you got your fucking head on straight. That's all I got. Thank you, Stonkington. Thank you, Bender. We'll see you guys shortly.
See ya.